I made $17,247 in 2 weeks with this exact framework I'm about to show you. Here's a screenshot for $11,365. Here's another screenshot for $5,882. And again, this is in the span of 2 weeks. This is the same framework that allowed me to bring home 24 grand in take-home income last month. That allowed Julian here to go from $4,200 a month to $7,500 a month in our first month together. It took Jason here from $2K a month to $2K a day, again in less than 30 days of working together. I could go on. It's the same framework that took me from being a dishwasher to clearing multiple six figures. And so what we're about to walk through here can be the difference between another dry, inconsistent week or your first 10K month or your first 10K week, depending on where you are. So let's dive straight in. So the first thing that you have to understand, guys, is B2C sales is an emotional roller coaster. So bear with me, I'm not an artist here, but I'm gonna draw it out for you, right? So you start down here and then you go up here and then you go down and then you go back up and then you go down again and then you go back up. Bear with me, it'll make sense in a second. And so when you're pretty much neutral, right, which is right here, this is called the frame. This is where you're neutral. So you start here, right? You're at the beginning, you're framing the call, which I'm gonna show you what framing the call even means, the best way to do it. Then you get into their situation, which is you're up here, right? You bring them up here, which is their situation, where they're currently at. Now, with the situation up here, then you come down. So when you come down, it's the problems right here. You bring them at the bottom of that emotional roller coaster. And then after we get the problems, then we get the goals, which again, the goals is now bringing them up on that scale. And then once we have the goals, we take that shit away, we rip it away with what's called the cost of inaction, of what happens if they stay the same. And then we bring them right back up that roller coaster here with the pitch. So you're constantly up and down from frame to situation to problem to goals to cost of inaction to pitch. And so the very first part of that is the frame, right? Which I'm gonna dive into here. Something really important to understand, guys, is that as you start really any social interaction, but especially a sales interaction, the person is reading you and they're reading if this is someone that I can trust to lead me, right? Is this someone that is on the same level as me? Are they below me or are they above me? And so the bare minimum is you want to be on the same level. Ideally, you want to be above them, but you never want to be below. And so this is where framing the call and letting them know how it's going to go comes into play. And this is where your energy is the most important, is in the beginning. And so you never want to start the call saying shit like, thank you for taking your time, or I'm glad you can make it to the call. Because what is that subconsciously telling the person? If they're thanking me for my time, if they're thanking me for making it to the call, well, then that means my time is above theirs. And so they're instantly putting you in the bucket of down here. You never want to say that. You don't want to do fake rapport either. This is what every salesperson does, and they know that it's fake, and this is what you're doing to try to get them to like you. Oh, what city are you based in? Oh, what's the weather like there? Oh, my Aunt Nana was there. I was there in 2012. They don't care, and they know that you don't care. And so you don't want to build fake rapport, and ultimately what you want to do is you want to, again, frame the call, let them know how it's going to go. You want to maintain high status without doing all the shit that I just said, and then you want to put them in a decision-making state, which is dropping their guard. And so the best way to frame a call, the way I do it, is I'll be like, hey name, looks like you're looking at potentially solving XYZ problem. So like in my last offer, I was selling to doctors. Hey name, it looks like you're looking at potentially getting some outside support when it comes to like being more efficient with your charting as a doctor. Does that sound about right? Cool. Well, I have a little bit of context here from your application. I'll make sure we cover everything. My name is Nick. I'm the director of physician wellness. Worked with almost 1,000 doctors in a pretty similar spot. What I've seen to work best on these calls is we just open up, right? We see what's going on, see if what we're doing here would help. And if so, we'll talk about potential next steps. If not, no worries, I'll point you in the best direction if I don't think we can help you out. Very quick, to the point, and simple. You're framing the call and you're letting them know how it's gonna go. You're keeping your status high by A, giving them the title that you have in the company, the amount of people you guys have worked with to solve the same problem that they have, and then you're putting them in a decision-making state in a very subtle way by telling them that if things feel good, then we'll talk about potential next steps. And you're dropping their guard by saying, if it doesn't feel good, I'll make sure I still point you in the best direction anyway. This is really, like, I can't stress enough how important this is. As soon as somebody sees you, they're instantly judging you, and if you cannot pass the judgment test, the rest of the call doesn't even matter, okay? So we go from there, right? And then once we frame the call, now we're in the situation, right? We need context around where they are after establishing that authority. And so this is a very simple part of the call. What is their situation? How did you get there? So I guess, like, what made you want to book a call and has you interested in potentially getting outside side support. And I have a couple examples here. So let's say with BizOp, right? So what are you doing for work right now? Dating. It's a dating offer. Okay, and what are you doing to land dates right now? Or maybe it's a fitness offer. Okay, and what are you doing to lose weight right now? Very simple. This part of the call is maybe a minute long. This is just simply understanding their situation and what they're doing now, right? Now, when we get to from the situation, we want to bridge that gap into their problem. This is where 95% of the sale is going to be made, is in the problem. And this is where I see a lot of reps breeze past. They get a surface level problem and they keep on going. And so this is where the sale's made. So now we have their problems and their challenges. And so ultimately what we're doing here, we're finding their problems, again, or challenges. We are finding out what's going on, how it's affecting them, the duration of how long it's been going on for. Really important stuff here. So again, I'll run with the, let's say fitness, right? What are you doing right now for fitness? Oh, I'm walking around, to lose weight. Oh, I'm taking walks every day. I'm taking 20-minute walks. Okay, and what makes you feel like that's not getting you to where you want to get to? Oh, because I haven't dropped the weight, I haven't lost the weight. Okay, and it may sound like a duh question, but like, why is dropping that weight so important to you? Like, this amount of weight, what effects is it having? They're gonna tell you. Maybe their energy and the way that they're showing up, right? Maybe they're out of breath when they're going upstairs. Or maybe we're talking about BizOp, right? Maybe they work a pretty good corporate job and they want to start an online business because they're spending too much time at work and it's taking time away from the things that they want to do. Most reps will hear it's taking away from the things that I want to do and they'll just move past that. That's what average reps do. We're not average over here. That's why you're watching. And so let's say they say that. Say, yeah, I want to be, it's taking time away from the things I want to do. Okay, I don't want to assume anything. Like, what is that actually taken away from? Okay, and how many hours are you finding yourself working? Okay, and is it just you? Do you have a family? How does it affect the way you're able to be present with your family, right? This is key. I can only teach this so much because it's very contextual to the conversation. The best way to learn this is listening to my calls and how I do it and really paying attention to how I dig. And then once we have a library of problems, right? We understand the problem. We understand how it's affecting them. We've probed, we've clarified. The best way to think about this is an onion. So I'm gonna pause this real quick and I'm gonna show you guys an onion real quick. So this is a random video or a picture I found of an onion, but it really depicts what I'm getting across here. An onion has 6 layers. Most reps will get to maybe the first layer, maybe 1.5, maybe get to 2, but rarely get to 6. And so the way to get to 6 is to continuously probing how the effect is affecting, if that makes sense. So layer 1 is I want to make more money. Layer 2 is because I work too many hours. I work 60 hours. Layer 3 is because it's taken away from time with my family. Layer 4 is I'm not able to make the games. I'm not able to watch the movie night, have the movie nights with my kids. Layer 5 is my wife is upset about that and she's telling me she needs me to find something that can allow us to start being together more, et cetera, et cetera. Like, you guys get the point here, right? This again is really key because this is where majority of the sale is going to be made, is in the problems. And so now we're at the bottom of that roller coaster, right? Don't forget, we're on a roller coaster. We started in the frame, which was neutral, and then we brought it back up to situation, understanding where they are. We found out the problems of their situation and how long that's been going on for. Now we're gonna pick them back up and go to goals, or what I like to call heaven, right? Now we understand what they're trying to get away from, but where are they actually going? And so first, we need to find out what other things they have tried to do to solve this problem. So again, let's say you sell BizOp, fitness, whatever. Okay, this has been going on for 3 years. In that 3 years, what steps would you say you've taken towards being able to actually overcome XYZ, right? Then we are going to DQ the other solution. So let's say you're selling a program that teaches Amazon FBA and they've looked into YouTube automation, they've looked into drop shipping, they've looked into all these different things. You want to start to DQ them, but allow them to DQ. Okay, so you looked at YouTube automation. What made you not go that route? Oh, I don't want to hire a bunch of freelancers. Okay, you looked at drop shipping. Why not that? Oh, because it's too saturated. You want to slowly have them DQ themselves on the other solutions, and then you want them to sell themselves on yours. So with that Amazon FBA thing I said, what has you wanting to do Amazon FBA then? Right? Like, what has you leaning towards this direction? And then they're going to sell themselves on it. They are going to say, because Amazon is very proven and I don't fucking know, I love Jeff Bezos, whatever. They're gonna sell themselves on it. Then we're gonna future pace their current situation, which is ultimately flipping what we got in problems, right? So like, okay, so let's say we're 6 months out. Maybe it's, February, January of next year. What will success look like? how will you know that you've been able to get past this? Oh, I've built a business that's cash flowing 10K a month and I could quit my job. Okay, what would that allow for? The best way to think about this, you want them to be as descriptive as possible when they're talking about the future of success. Remember, we're at the top of the roller coaster. They have to be dreaming. So I'll ask you, let's say whatever your dream car is, let's say your dream car is a G-Wagon, a G63. Okay, well, what color would that G-Wagon be? Okay, let's say it's black. What specs would you have on it? Maybe it's fully loaded. Okay, and are we doing the cream insides or the red guts, or what would the insides look like? Oh, I like the red ones. Okay, and like, this may sound cheesy, but like, who's the first person you would call once you've finally gotten that? Where's the first selfie you would take? Where's the first place you would take it? Now, I'm saying this, use it contextually. This is how descriptive you want them to be when they're talking about their situation. So if we flip it and talk about the biz op and them, spending more time with their kids, okay, what are you actually doing with your kids that you're not able to do now, in that 6-month time frame, right? What are you able to do with your lady? Are we taking date nights? Do you guys like to travel? Like, what does that look like? And really get them living that shit. The more descriptive they are, the more they feel and they are living in it, which is where we are right here at the goals, right? We're at the top. Now we're gonna rip all that shit away from them in the cost of inaction, which is Hell Island. We're gonna take it away. What happens if they don't solve it? And so the point here, again, is the exact opposite of heaven. We need to talk about what happens if things continue to be the way they are and nothing changes. Now, you have to ease into this, guys. Don't just jump right into the cost of inaction. If you do, it's not going to land the way that you want it to. Like, if you take them straight from Heaven Island and then you ask them what happens if it doesn't happen, they're gonna resist and they're gonna say, oh, that's not an option. Oh, I can't let that happen. I know for a fact I'm gonna get there. So you wanna ease into it, right? Okay, and like, there's always another side of it though, right? Because I know you said earlier the reason that you haven't started anything is maybe because of time or because of money or whatever. So like, let's look at the other side. What happens if another 6 months or another year or 2 years go by and we don't actually take the steps towards overcoming this and you're still in that same place where you're working 60 hours a week, you're missing your kids' games, and your wife is upset with you? Like, have you thought about what the consequences are of that? This is key because your tonality is important. Your tonality needs to be very down-toned now because this is serious shit. But what happens if if you don't get there? What happens if we continue going down this path? And they need to paint the hell picture. Oh, well, my relationship keeps getting worse with my wife, with my kids. Maybe my health continues to get worse. Maybe I continue resenting my job more. Maybe it continues resenting me more, depending on how deep you got. And the key here is how deep you're able to get here in the problems is gonna dictate how deep you're able to get when you're talking about goals. And then it's gonna give you a much more leverage to be able to pull it away. And then after that, we talk about the pitch, which is ultimately now bridging that gap of these are your problems. This is the ideal solution. This is Heaven Island. This is the goal. This is what happens if you don't get there. We are now the bridge to getting you there. This is exactly how we're gonna help. And then you get into the pitch. And something to keep in mind is if the hell part is done, again, if it's done right, when we bring them back up to the pitch, we're taking them back up on that emotional ride, that emotional roller coaster, which is gonna help the pitch land a hell of a lot more. Now, there's obviously a lot of nuance in doing each stage of the call correctly, but if you can understand this at a base level, this is enough to take you to 8 to 10K a month without even needing me, without even needing to work with me any closer or to work with anyone any closer. Like, this should be good. Again, it's boils down to if you're executing it correctly. The prospect should almost be emotionally numb at this point. If you've gone through the pain, the vision, the cost of inaction, you've pitched, and now it's time to make a move, buying becomes the next logical step for them. And you're gonna get way less objections. So now you've got the 5-step framework that allowed me to make $17,247 in 2 weeks or $24,000 in take home in a whole month last month. You could go apply it or you can ignore it and stay stuck. But if you want to go deeper and have more eyes on it, there's a link below to apply for one-on-one coaching. See if you qualify to work with me, as all these people have who are consistently hitting record months, month over month over month. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.